welcome back to my channel, finally. I hope you all are having a great Christmas break, New Year's break, and today I just wanted to bring you a video for New Year's. I don't know how many of us are actually going to parties, but if you are, or if you just want to sit around and play with makeup, I'm going to be doing a New Year's Eve party look, but have all my favorite techniques that I learned in 2020 included in the look. I wanted to make it kind of a monochrome maroon glitter moment, so we'll see how that works out. And I'll just go through the tips as we go and talk about them. And I'm going to talk about what YouTubers that I learned them from, because that's really where I started. My love of makeup is through starting to watch YouTube videos. So hopefully that happens with you too. So without any further ado, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is my brows, and what I learned this year is how to do soap brows. So I learned soap brows this year, and with my brows, I don't really have to fill them in, but I wanted something that would just hold them. So I've just heard soap brows from a lot of different people. So what I did is I did a video, I'll put it above, trying out this new soap brow. It's called Kaida Brow Styling Soap. It is from Amazon, and I think it was like $8 or $9. And so, but like this isn't as much about the product, but the techniques that I learned. So what you do is you take the brush that comes with it, and I spray it with a setting spray. You could just spray it with water to save money and not waste your setting spray. You put it in the bar of soap. It needs to be a clear soap, so it doesn't really matter which kind of soap or which brand, and then you just put it through your eyebrows. So what I do is I take it and I brush it all of my eyebrows up. I have really thick eyebrows, and so I don't love the way it looks when my eyebrows are brushed up. You can kind of see it's very, very spiky, and so I brush it up first to get everything even, and then after I like the way everything's brushed out, I kind of just bring a line and just bring it down just a little bit. Still have that natural look, but I just, if you can see the difference between each eyebrow, I think that this one just looks a little bit cleaner. And then you just repeat the process for the second eyebrow. That's the first technique that I've been using consistently and learned this year that I really like. The next one is I have started to put my concealer. So what I'll do is, first I'm going to clip my hair back so that I don't have to worry about it. That looks okay. Anyway, so I have started to use two different concealers. So I have really dark, you can see my under eyes, and they go in quite a bit. And so I wanted to hide that, but not make it look too cakey or anything. What I started doing is taking a smaller concealer brush like this. This is a blurring concealer brush from It Cosmetics. And this is, let's see, does it say the size? This is 103. And so it's thicker than an eyeshadow brush. What I do is I get a thicker concealer. I'm using the CoverGirl True Blend. Kind of. Anyway, so it's a thicker concealer. I put this brush on it a little bit. I don't ever put the doe foot on my face because I just feel like it gets way too much product. And I do this thicker concealer underneath my foundation. I think what it does is just give it a little bit more of a base. I think that it helps my darker circles. I just don't want to put a lot of concealer on, but I also want to make sure that I'm focusing on those dark circles. So all I do is I put it in the corners, the inner corner and the outer corner. I do like to bring it up a little bit on both sides because I get really, really purple inside the corners. And it goes like that. So I use this thicker one because it dries pretty quickly on me, which I don't love with the normal concealer. But if I'm putting it on my base, then I feel like that it's drying, and then I go in with a foundation that's like this Age Perfect Radiant Serum foundation that's a little bit more dewy, and I put that over it, and I think that kind of helps the dewiness and not make my under eyes look dry. So that's going to be our next step. I don't really have a technique for foundation that I learned in 2020. You don't need to put it all over your skin. Whatever you use to spread it, so like your brush or your blender, will get it everywhere it needs to be. But you don't need to have a ton. So I normally use a brush, normally some kind of foundation brush, and I only get one little squirt of foundation, and I feel like that is enough. All I want foundation to do is do some color correcting, and then just give me a general layer of I guess mainly just color correcting. And so this is really, I love this, the idea of just making your skin look more natural instead of just caking on all the foundation. So not really a technique, but just a reminder that you don't really need a ton of foundation. You don't need to cover every inch of your skin if you're going for more of the natural look. I always do a brush and then I go in with my beauty blender, because I find that the brush, if you look, I don't think you'll see it with my lights on, but if you look closely, it does give a lot of lines. So all right, so we have concealer and foundation, and then I always do my eyes next, just in case I need to go in with more concealer. I don't already have like my foundation, my bronzer and my blush on. So we have the base done. If you think you need more concealer on top of the base, I always go in with a lighter concealer. So this is the concealer that goes with the foundation I was using, that Age Perfect from L'Oreal. And you can just, put a little bit in where you think you need some. I have a little bit of a blemish here. And like I say, I like to use a lighter concealer on top, so I really don't want any lines. I really don't want any creasing. And so the thicker, I feel like underneath really helps. And then I just let that sit and go into the eyes. So today for the eyes, I really wanted to do more of a maroon look. I'm going to be doing a maroon, so more of like a pinkish maroon. Actually, I think I might use some of this color down here as well. What I want to do is make it pretty monochrome, and so I'm going to, is it monotone? I want it to all have the same tones. We'll just say that. But anyway, so I'm going to have my lips and my eyes all kind of be the same color, coordinate that with my blush, but also add some glitter in there, for the partying side of New Year's Eve. So we're kind of going to start with the eyes. Now, the first thing I am going to do is do a little bit of primer, because we are going to be going in with quite a bit of eyeshadow. All right, so I'm really going to try and just use a couple colors. I'm not going to do this. I want it to be pretty much, like I said, one toned. So I'm going to get out my eyeshadow brushes that I want to use. Because I'm using one color and I want to get it in very deep and dark, I'm going to go in with a little bit of a smaller brush. I'm not going to do like a crease. I'm just going to go in right away with a lot, so I'm not even tapping anything off. I'm just going in with the color. This is a little more pink than I wanted. So I'm going to do that darker color down here. I'm going to just do that one as well. I might just combine them as I go. I feel like the darker color is a little bit, yeah, that's working really well. I want it all over, so I'm going all over the lid. always go in and worry about the blending later. I get like just a slightly fluffier brush and just go in the crease. Really helps. You also want to make sure, this is the eyeshadow tip that I'm going to talk about, but a lot of times when I first started doing makeup, I just did the top of my eyes, even with mascara. I like didn't even put mascara. A lot of people said that if you do the bottom, it makes your eyes look smaller, but Katie Jane Hughes says she thinks it actually makes it look bigger. So I agree with her. I actually feel like it just makes it more cohesive. I think that if you just leave it on top, it cuts your eye in half. I don't know. That's my thoughts. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I like the blend. I'm going to blend a little more just on the edges. And then I'm going to go in and do the other eye just the same. This is the base. Now this next thing I want to do is do some kind of glitter. So I forgot to say that this pink is from the Berries palette in the Juvia's Place. I just did a video with those palettes. And then this next palette I'm going to use is a Pat McGrath palette here. And I think I'm going to use the gold color up here, if you can see that a little bit better. Oh, there, that works if I tilt it. You can kind of see how it's over here. That is pretty gold. So I'm going to use that color. I do like to do what typical people do with a cut crease and with glitter. I like to use my concealer. And so I'm going to do that. I'll show you what type of brush I prefer. I like it to be rounded. Most of the brushes I'm talking about are from my BH Cosmetics kit. This is number 9. All I do is make sure that I just do it on the lid. Because my eyes are hooded, I don't want to open up my eyes and it all get up on the top section of my eye. So I don't even go up to the crease. I just go, make sure it's the side that I touched. I just go right up to it. So once I have it all on, I'll show you how small. So you can see it's almost like a strip. I do want it to be a little bit more curved. It's really small because I have hooded eyes. I don't want to go up any higher. It'll just carry and transfer onto the higher part of my eye. All right, so you have the concealer on. I want it to be a little bit more blended. Okay. I changed my mind. I'm going to try and use this maroon color. I'm going to try to do it with my fingers and see if that. There we go. I think that goes really well. You can see the glitter. Another thing you can already see is that right there you can see there is already a transfer of the concealer. That's why you don't go up too high. And I'm just trying to focus it on the points of where I put the concealer. Concealer just makes it stay a little bit longer. It doesn't necessarily, it's not super necessary. I just think it makes it stay, and I do think it makes it brighten up. All right, that gives it more of a maroon reddish color look that I was looking for, which I kind of like. And you can see the glitter coming off as well. So that is one eye, and I'm going to go in and do the other eye. And if you're noticing that it's like a little bit messy around the edges, don't worry, I have a technique for that. So we have everything on that we want, and if you just look right now, you can see that there's a lot more blending that needs to happen. You can see that right here there's transfer coming down that I don't want. all of this can be fixed. And that's another tip that I've learned, especially from Katie Jane Hughes. I watch her Instagram all the time, so that's why I'm mentioning her a lot. But I learned from her that like if there are mistakes, they can be fixed, which is so nice. So what we're going to do first is if you just look and you can see that things need to be blended, just take your fluffy brush and blend where you need to. And then the next thing, like I said, that there's some transfer just below my eyes. Like I want it to be cleaned up here. One thing you can do is just go back in with whatever's transferred on your beauty blender from before and just tap that in. I think that's really good for when you are trying to keep a really soft blend. Now, if you're really trying to get like a very, very clean wing, you can go in with like the type of brush that I use to do the crease and take your concealer or your foundation, which is what I'm using right now, and just go right up against it. Now, I don't want like a super rigid line, so I'm not using too much foundation. You can just go in, you can see how that just cleaned it up a little bit, and then I just blend it with my fingers. You could also use the beauty blender, but now you can kind of see that on both sides, all that transfer that was happening is gone. It still looks blended, it still looks pretty natural. I mean, it's pink, but it still looks very natural. If you need a little bit more blend, just go in with your blending brush, and that kind of helps as well. So that is tip, I don't know what tip, I didn't count them all, but just making sure that not freaking out if you make a mistake. And I love that. It's like you can go back in and fix things, especially with your eyeshadow or your eyeliner or anything that's coming down, even if you've already done your foundation, which I do most times, is because I don't know, I like to do foundation first before I do my eyes. So that is the eye look. I actually don't think I'm going to add any eyeliner or anything. I think I'll just leave it like that. The color is the main focus anyway, and I don't want to take away from it. So I'm going to get some mascara on. I've been using this Stila, and I didn't really like it, the Stila mascara. It's S-T-I-L-A. Could be Stila. I'm not sure. But anyways, and I hated it at first because it had so much transfer. I felt like every time I did it, I was getting mascara off the lid of my eyelids. But when I'm really careful, this stuff gives you so much product on your lash. I mean, you can see the difference on both sides. It really coats your lashes and gives them a really fun, chunky look. So if that's what you want, then this is definitely the mascara for you. Okay, I'm going to do the bronzer next, and then we'll do the lip, and then we'll do blush, because I'm going to use the lipstick as my blush. So I've been using the Fenty bronzer a lot. So my tip with bronzer that I learned from Jamie Genevieve was to keep the bronzer high. I love this look because I think that it lifts your face a lot. She always talks about lifting your face, and I love it. So I think it also helps blend your blush a little bit more as well. So I keep it really, really high. You can see I'm all the way up here on my cheekbone. You don't want it to create a line or anything, so keep a very soft hand with your bronzer, especially if you're going for more natural look like I do. I'm not trying to wear too much. I did notice that I have had this little spot not blended out the whole time, but that's okay. So I go high on the cheekbones. Also do some underneath the chin. But the main tip there is just keep it high. I used to do my bronzer here. Everyone says like pull your cheeks in like this, and you're supposed to do it right there. But I don't know. I think that actually drags your face down. The second to last thing we're gonna do is lips. I don't really have a technique with lips, but it will go into the blush. So the first thing I'm going to do is a lip liner. Okay, lips are lined. Another thing, something I do with my lips to make sure that they're really soft by the time I get to the lip part of my makeup is make sure that I have chapstick. So at the beginning of the video, you probably saw me put some chapstick on. And so they're a lot softer, less, I get really dry lips. So just filling the lipstick in. Very, very dark color. Kind of what I wanted the color of my eyes to be, but it didn't quite work out. That I still like the deep colors and the pinks. And so the next thing, the next tip that I wanted to bring to you, like I said, I didn't really have a lip tip, but in order to get that monotone look that we're trying to go for, Katie Jane Hughes recommends just using your lipstick as a blush. So she just kind of just rubs her brush on her lips and then uses that color, and you can already see it coming on her cheeks. And so that is exactly what I'm going to do. And you can see that it really matches really well with the lips. I just feel like you can't get it to match any better. Clearly way too much blush. You can always fix it. Remember we said that earlier. And so I go in with that same Beauty Blender brush that we had before. If you need a little bit, I always have leftover foundation on my hand. If you need a little bit more foundation to blend with it, you can see, look at the difference. I still have a little color, but it's not as crazy as this side. You can see too how the blush just kind of blends in with the bronzer, and that's why I love this bronzing trick. I also like to put just a little bit of blush on my nose. We have almost everything. The last thing I do want to do is put a little bit of highlighter on, because what would a party be if we didn't put any highlighter on? I use the same brush that I used for my concealer. I just like the size of it. It can be a little bit more exact, and I put it right on my cheekbone. And if you feel like, just like with the shimmer eyeshadow, if you feel like it's not going on, you can just use your finger. But I feel like this is going on really well. And then you're done. The last thing I would suggest doing is just stepping back and, as Allie Klein says, assess the situation, because you just want to make sure that you haven't forgotten about anything, that you like how everything looks. Like if you get close, I can see that I might need to just blend a little bit more in my eyes. So I can go in and do some more blending. Make sure that you feel like, you know, your bronzer doesn't look fake or anything, looks really blended. And other than that, those are the tips. I hope you all have a great end to your year. I hope that 2020 starts out really well, and that it goes better, or 2021 starts out really well and it goes better than 2020 has for us. I've really enjoyed these videos, and if you enjoyed watching them, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching all the way through, and I will see you all in the next one. Thanks, bye.